And I'll hit these things here and I'll say, hello, everybody. Greetings. I also have to remove the top screen. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop. How's everybody going on this fine Saturday? It's been a pretty busy Saturday, but I think it's been a fun Saturday. How's your day, you feel like, Big Worm?
It's been fun.
That's good. That's good. Honestly...
I also just had D&D this morning, and it was just one gigantic fight, but we'll get into that at the end of the game, at the end of the stream.
Yeah. It's felt like a busy week, but I think it's because I knew I was going to be busy this weekend, and then I got PAX Unplugged next Friday. So everything just feels busy these weeks. And that's the other thing I'm thinking about is, like, though I don't do a lot for it, I'm pretty sure the week after that's going to feel busy because it's going to be Thanksgiving here in America that week.
Yeah, it will be. I don't know, busy's relative in that sense, but...
I'm sure I will not be doing any major cooking, but I'm sure I will be helping out by picking up stuff or assisting with some kind of cooking somewhere along the way. So
I get 2 days off.
Hmm.
It's not busy.
Look, relatively speaking, busy. I always feel like when when I usually talk about busy, I'm like, like things to do that I can't focus my energy on more, not productive stuff, but
I get
stuff
it.
stuff I want to do rather than stuff I need to do. That kind of thing,
Yep. Yeah, I get it. It's gonna be it'll be nice though. It'll be a nice break. I am going to be making a pie, or trying to, hopefully.
Power of the pie.
No one. Pumpkin pie, the best pie.
Personally, I am not a fan, but I'm not a fan of most pies. So you're not selling it to me. You're selling it to someone else that's a pie lover.
That's fair. Cake is better than pie.
Yes, I will heatedly go for that one. And even then, you can't win me over with every cake because some of them are just a little too sweet for me. I think it's sort of like, I always like a cream cheese frosting because it's a little more tart rather than just like the pure like sugar of most frostings.
I actually agree with that. The frosting is kind of the worst part of cake. As weird as it sounds, I actually prefer like fondant to like just the pure frosting, just because like it's not as like overly sweet. I do get that.
Yeah. I'm definitely a person that likes doesn't mind some sweetness but doesn't want too much. You lose me on that. We do have a bunch of topics to talk about today. Turns out things happened this week. I guess we should start with like
there's
big
the
stuff.
Anyway, sorry. Just
yes, the little tiny ticks that we're talking about.
We spent about 10 minutes beforehand to try and figure out what's going on there. Haven't gotten to a conclusion yet.
There's some things to experiment with, but we'll have to do like a stream here. Like we'll worry about it. We're working on it. Anyway.
Well, no, knowing us, before next stream is when we'll try again.
So, Vivi's gone. Hey, ding dong, the witch is dead.
Oh yeah, they said they were gonna ban it, but it was like gonna get was gonna be after a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, this was an interesting one because we got a bunch of. I'm trying to copy and paste the link, and apparently it copied just a / hash mark in there, and I'm like, what the hell did that do that? I clicked on the link and it highlighted just a hash mark instead of the entire link to copy and paste. Like, I'm gonna tell you here, there is some stuff here that like I can see in the banned list that is interesting, but a lot of this is like cool, like the stuff for Brawl Historic where there's a whole bunch of bans. Pauper losing High Tide. Honestly speaking, after they removed it, I heard tale that might happen. I'm honestly surprised that we had 2 bans in Legacy, because Legacy and Vintage, it's hard to ban stuff in those formats. I'm not gonna lie, it really is. I think the difference is Vintage has a bunch of restricted cards, so those usually are powerful enough that anything that would be banned in Legacy, which they're they are banned instead of restricted in, that's a difference.
Remind me what Legacy and Vintage are.
Legacy, well, Vintage is probably one to start off with. It's, except for a small list of bans and a bunch of restricted cards, it's every Magic card ever.
Got it.
Legacy basically goes and says to most of those restricted cards, plus a couple others, ban those. So Legacy is a little bit more curated. I guess is the best way to say it. That's why it can be affected still a little bit more, I think, by newer cards or powerful cards and stuff like that. While, Vintage has a bunch of, like, stuff where it's just like, no, you're not allowed to use these, except for maybe one in your deck. And that one usually is enough to, like, balance power out with a lot of stuff, because it's some of the crazy shit from early sets.
If I recall correctly, Pauper is just cards below a certain value, right?
Common, actually, just all commons.
Oh, common.
But it does go by any proper product in which it was printed as common.
Interesting.
So there are a couple of times where things have been printed instead of like as uncommon as common, or stuff like that they become then legal. I think there have been some bans for some things where like there was an accidental thing where something that was rare was printed at common, but that it was in the rare slot, but like the card appears common, but that they're like, hey, no, it was supposed to be rare, it's banned. Things like that have happened in Pauper. But Pauper is basically cheap cards. Not
also,
always
pre-bans.
Yeah, because I think some things are going to be
I
entering in. Yeah, I think things are going to be entering into historic. So that's why I think the pre-bans are, because I think a bunch of those. I know like Dark Depths, Entomb, Mystic Tutor. I can see some of these. I can see most of these have either Brit bans or in some other format. So them entering into historic, I can see them being banned, because these. Oh, I see why too. These are the avatar version of these spells. They're from like the special special prints.
Okay, so they're versions of the spells which are different, which is why they're considered.
That's why
they need to be banned separate.
Yeah, because them being printed on like the special sheets of like reprints that sometimes happen with sets nowadays. These are ones that are basically some special cards, probably that only appear in the collector's boosters, I'm going to be honest, the expensive ones. But they are, like Dark Depths, it's an older card. It's getting a printing there, but yeah. So I can see why they're like, hey, yeah, these cards were... It's not that we're against reprinting them in any way, but we don't want them in a historic format. So I can see that being it. And then Nadu, I remember, was banned in a lot of places, so I can see him being banned in Legacy too. And then Entomb. Cool. But yeah, no, I think the big one here out of all this stuff is just Vivi being banned. Yeah. It's... I think someone... Because I saw this a lot earlier in the week, and I saw someone talk about this, and they were like, yeah, I think the thing is, we're going to find more problems like Vivi happening more often. When there was 4 sets a year, and standard was 2 years, or sometimes it was 3 years for a while, but with 4 sets, the people that were playtesting could basically figure out a lot more of these combos. When you have 6 or 7 sets a year, it becomes a lot harder, and you have so many more sets now in standard.
There's actually 2 compounding factors here. One is they need to create more ideas, and there's less time to test those ideas, because that's having more sets in a year does both of those things, which is why the problem is going to be exponentially more common the faster you put things out, because like not only will things be less tested, they're going to be less thought out as well.
Yeah,
meaning it's going to be harder to you're more likely to make a card that's broken unintentionally if you have it's like, well, My job in this office is to make a magic card. I've got 2 days per card. You know, like think about it like that.
Mm-hmm. It's
uh,
it's they have a very little bit of they have a lot less time. And it's like you come up with the card, and yes, usually you have some time to develop the card, but then it's sort of like we don't have as much time because again, at most we haven't really heard a lot of hirings. We've heard mostly like layoffs and stuff too. So they've
oh yeah,
also,
like they've fired at like what, like 60% of their staff at Wizards at this point.
yeah, so they've kind of tightened up the staff. They have them working on more stuff over, a shorter period of time, and they're expecting them to keep up quality.
Yep.
And again, like, I feel like there was an interesting idea on Vivi, but like it could have been drawn back a little bit on power level. And then, yes, they could have done things like, figured out things like the combo with Agatha's Cauldron if they had more time to test. Because I'm not going to lie, I don't think we were going to see like Vivi being a problem in most other formats. It's not that it couldn't be used with Soul Cauldron in Modern or Legacy or Vintage or Commander, but like a lot of those formats have answers to that, built into their formats that don't go away. So they have ways to deal with the problem, or is a big problem. So, yeah. But yeah, no, it's certainly speaking. Again, there are some interesting things here. Again, the High Tide one, they had unbanned it kind of on a test basis. They'd unbanned a couple of different things, and like I read up on it a little bit, and like the other stuff they unbanned, they're like, yeah, those seem to work very well. It's the kind of thing of there's more stuff in the format now, so a lot of those older bans aren't bad, but High Tide in of itself still is a pretty powerful card, and there really isn't like a good match to it, so.
Yeah, how do you even can you exile something if it's like like where does a card need to be to exile it? Because I know Agatha's Cauldron exiles a creature.
Usually you have like similar to you having a deck and a graveyard, you have a section that you will exile.
I know the that's the same thing in Remove from Play in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
I know how that works. My question is like, where can the card be? Because like it doesn't say where it can be here, so I assume it's part of the rules. Like, does it have to be in your hand field, or does it have to be in the field?
Okay, I
does
see.
It have to be...
Traditionally, I think for something like Agatha's Cauldron, which it exiles a card from a graveyard.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah, exiles card from graveyard. It says it on the card.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah.
So that means, but that just means you can discard a card.
There's an easier way to discard it too, because you run multiple copies of Vivi. And there is a Legends rule for legendary cards, meaning you can only have one in play. And if you get multiple copies, you have to sacrifice one of them. So...
Oh, gosh. That's even easier.
Yes, it's even easier. Because Vivi is 3 mana, which is still pretty cheap. Meaning, you have a Vivi out in play, you can play a second one, it gets sacrificed, then it goes to the graveyard, and you can Soul Cauldron it. Or there are probably other cards that allow you to discard things. In red...
Yep.
Traditionally in red, there's a lot of cards that have you the ability to draw a card, but afterwards you must discard a card. So it's that's a big red. There's a way.
Yeah, I was just trying to think if there's a way to have fixed Vivi, but it seems not really, not with this ability.
If there was like a lot of good like graveyard hate in the format, but there isn't a lot of like beyond like this interaction and some other things with Soul Cauldron, there isn't like a really major need for graveyard hate. Like as soon as we remove Vivi, there really isn't any deadly combos with Soul Cauldron right now, at very least. Meaning, the format doesn't need something to target the graveyard, and there isn't a set that's used the graveyard anyway in the current standard.
And a lot of other editions which have a lot more, which have a larger span. which have a larger span of like card sets, you tend to have more things that can deal with things.
Yeah.
Or the problem with standard is that it only use a certain number of sets backwards.
Yeah. It's got a limited
so-
play, and it's that kind of thing of there have been sets where there's very big graveyard matters kind of sets where, you know, there's a lot of mechanics that deal around that, which could have dealt with Vivi and Agatha Soul Cauldron a lot better. So it's sort of like in different time periods, this wouldn't have been a problem is the other thing too, you know? Oh, Vivi's gone to the graveyard. I get rid of it before you can Soul Cauldron it, you know? Or in response to you trying to Soul Cauldron it, I get rid of it, you know?
So it's not like the cards are that broken. This is just kind of a thing that is broken for the given period.
Yes. And I'm not saying it isn't powerful anyway. It is powerful too.
Also, I know. But also, if you do have this I mean, another thing they could have done if they like play tested more, they could have put a few cards or another card, or even just like 2 cards, like would have probably of graveyard or exile destruction of some kind would have been, in the same set would have balanced it out. So like no place test time and no. Yeah. So
there could have been there's definitely some characters that deal with like resurrection and stuff in Final Fantasy, and I think they have abilities that they've done, but they could have been much more targeting of the graveyard. You know, they could have adapted where they built the abilities of the character to still fit with what they did, but then be much more of a counter for this kind of thing. And you know, it's and just again, just to explain to everybody out there to understand what it means is Vivi can basically once per turn give you mana equal to his power. He starts at power 0. He has a way of gaining more power, but it's a slow thing. Basically, when you if you cast any spell that's not a creature. Agatha Soul's Cauldron, if you exile Vivi with that, gives all your creatures that. Hey, I already have an 8/8 in play. I get 8 mana for free once a turn.
Yep.
And that's just one of my creatures that has that ability now. Because Agatha Soul's Cauldron gives all your creatures Vivi's ability. And when you have 1 billion mana, you do whatever you want.
Yeah. No, I mean the whole thing about the game is the slow mana build. If you have a way to break that, you break the game.
Yep. There are plenty of decks that play off of, you know, having low mana or stuff like that. There are speed decks out there, but they are well tuned, built for that, and some are more successful than others. You certainly could do. There are some speed swarm decks in both green and red, but they usually aren't played in professional because it's not that they aren't good, it's they aren't consistent.
High risk, high reward, yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of like if you get a really good hand, you might be able to kill someone by like turn 3 because you can like you just have all this cheap stuff that you can play out very fast, you know, and just, you know, kill your enemy before he does anything to do it, you know. But again, if you don't have the right hand, or your opponent has just one thing to counter you, I'm out of luck.
Yeah.
The other one, the other 2 ones I really didn't know a lot about. The Prophetic Memory and Screaming Nemesis. I can see why they're banned, just looking and reading them a little bit in standard, but like I think those were more like just. Again, it's usually bans just keeping things in check, and those are cards that have been out for a while, because I think the one is the 80s horror one.
Yeah, that one. The Demon City, the Demon Realm thing. Gosh, what's that called?
I'm not even remembering its name right now. That's how, like, unfortunately. Yeah. It just, unfortunately... Duskmourn, yeah. Duskmourn it
was a very interesting set.
It had a lot of interest to it, but it was interesting but not memorable. I think that's the way I should say it.
Here's the thing. Honestly, the setting was super memorable, but the cards weren't.
Yeah, I guess that's a great way of saying it. It was a very memorable and interesting, like, concept for a setting, but like a lot of the details just weren't there in a lot of it too, you know, because for reasons. You know. So that's what's going on in the Banosphere, we can call it. And then the other thing is, which I did want to kind of include this in here because there's a little bit of minor Magic news, and I felt like it was good to talk about, is that there's going to be much more deeper connection than they're already doing between Wizards of the Coast and TCG Player, which, I gotta be honest, I don't think this is necessarily bad in principle, but it is one of those things because they want to push people towards their partnered program, and their partnered program is kind of weird. It's kind of one of those things of like, as far as we've seen, it isn't necessarily easy to get in the WPN, like their partnership program per se. There's not a lot of stores in it, and they give out a limited number of them. But then if you're driving people towards them, I guess it's good for them, but it's kind of like that, like, what about all the other stores? You know? I don't know. The idea of like being able to find out if a store is one of those isn't bad, because those stores do tend to get certain products that others don't. Yes. But like, what about your other local game stores? I don't know. The Play Network. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Play Network.
That is one thing I was wondering about with this when we talked about it a few weeks ago, where something happened with it. I don't remember what. But like, I was just kind of like, this feels like a way to kind of like force small game stores out of business.
It feels like it very easily could go preferential treatment. I think that's what I kind of say. Because it would be a store basically kowtowing to Wizards. How to join? Yeah, you have to apply to it basically, and meet specific criteria like having a clean, dedicated play space, a Windows computer for reporting, internet connection. You have to have an application. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, that's expensive.
Yeah.
No, having an application, that's so expensive.
Yeah, because it's specifically, because you have to video walkthrough of the store as part of an application. So, yeah, it's an application for the entire store.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant your store needed an app.
Oh,
like an app
no. I still think it was expensive because you want to put on a really good video for it, and that will require something a little bit more than a camera walking through your store, you know? You need a...
Not necessarily, but yeah. Okay, it doesn't sound too restrictive. I just worry with the way Wizards going that it's gonna go that way.
Well, again, it's also a thing of just because you put in the application doesn't mean they'll accept you, though, too.
True.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's because I think when I looked at it, the amount of those stores is surprisingly small. Unfortunately. Just want to see here. I'm gonna see if I can find an LPN store very quickly and finish, like how to find those.
I mean, and there's the wpn.wizards.com. I'm just trying to see if I can find something there.
Distributors? No, that's not. Apply now. Let me just go back to Google. MTG WPN find a store.
Yeah, locator.wizards.com. But
okay. Let's take a quick look here. Stores.
I mean, there's a good chunk even near me.
All WPN stores, though.
I mean, it's the WPN website. Like, I literally... So, here's the thing. I
was
got
on Wizards
to...
site, though. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but WPN premium stores have priority placement in the store event link. Oh, they have priority in the store event locator. Sorry.
Yeah.
And they don't tell you if the store on that finder is a. This is interesting. I wonder how you find out.
Yeah, because we've seen plenty of times before, like there are certain stores that like only WPN stores get stuff sometimes, like certain products.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh. Those are distributors. It's so weird trying to find her because it feels like when I go to the WPN.wizards, it's more for I want to join that and be part of that.
Yeah, I saw that. There are tools on there to get to other places to find stuff, but yeah, this is odd. That's actually, in my opinion, worrying that they don't list the stores because that means you can't, like, individuals can't find patterns.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, if you find out, like, oh, these certain types of stores that have these certain types of things, you know, it's like you can find stuff out like that with public lists, but
yeah. I can get your badge on TCG Player. Anyway, I can see that. I was looking in here. Again, after the little search there, was able to find anything. I just coming back to saying it is like, yes, it could be good, but I'm not confident in Wizards not using it for evil. Because it's that thing that this entire like combo could be both used for good and evil. Like, yeah, if they're very open to plenty of stores, it doesn't matter. They expand like group of people that are like, hey, these are good stores, you know, they're fine stores, you know. They don't restrict the stores that can join the WPN. Yeah. But I don't know.
I mean, currently it seems like there's a fairly bare minimum set of requirements.
Yeah.
Which is good. Like, you basically just need to have a place for people to like play games and a store that's not like, you know, rotting and filthy.
Yeah, true. It's this weird thing of like, yeah, it's you and it's not necessarily bad knowing a store is a better store than another on general principle of being in good shape, you know, or having certain things to it like a play area and internet access. Those are things that are good to have, you know, if you're going to be spending time there. That's not the only requirement that you might have for going to a brick and mortar store anyway, but like certainly speaking, like, oh, if I want to go to a pre-release or something like that, I'm probably going to a WPN store because, hey, it's got a place to play, you know, and you want all those things.
Also, they're probably going to be the ones who get the specialty material that you can then get on like an opening day.
Yeah. But again, it's also that thing of if you don't qualify for plenty of reasons, I do feel bad in this case with TCB Player giving preferential treatment to those that do. You know, in a lot of ways, it's a weird point in time where like it's hard to say if it's really how good or bad it is because sort of like it could just be a small store that doesn't have space for play there, but they sell a lot of really great products, and you know, doesn't mean it's a bad store.
A game store, or just means that it's a small game store, which like heck, even if it has like let's say there's like 2 stores next to each other and one like is the game store and the other is like a D&D store and only one of them has the game or something, or has a game room or something, you know, but they like share resources or something. Like there are a lot of things that would be interesting
that also
that
like
I could probably think of
that might disqualify them for WPN though because of the because it does have requirements.
Yep.
I don't know.
But that's not even like my issue. My issue is just more like, okay, are they, you know, like if those requirements are like, we'd have no idea how they accept people. We have no idea how, like, there's no transparency there, which is very worrying.
Yes. Beyond right now going to TCG Player and trying to search through their sellers and hoping to get lucky, like just trying to find a list of the differences. It I don't know. That's the best thing I can say. It's like, I don't know. I'm at a mixed feeling about it. I think that's really what it is.
I personally don't think it's a problem now. I just think, based on what it sounds like, and like, but there's just clearly, in my opinion, no accountability here.
Yes.
So it can very easily go off the rails.
I think that's where my hesitance about it comes. It's sort of like, it's not necessarily having a bad idea, having people have like a badge that says that these are really the well-maintained, good stores. They have a lot of like support for like players and stuff like that. But like being able to find that kind of stuff out outside of when I'm trying to buy something, I think is where I'm a lot more like, would be happier. And I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So. Let's move on though, because apparently the skittering Savage Sparrow Studios. Oh, I moved it twice, did I? Or did I miss one? I accidentally hit it twice.
I actually saw this when I was looking at Paizo stuff earlier.
Yeah, there we go. Now I got the right one. Yeah. What's this here? Oh, there it is. I think I double hit the button. So yes, Savage Sparrow Studios is going to be doing a Starfinder line of apparel called Skittering Through the Stars. They have, it looks like, a Kickstarter for it. They did a bunch of the Goblin and Leshy's kind of stuff. I think I swear we saw their stuff, but again, it's me remembering everything that we've talked about. I'll also put other than the article that talks about, I'll put the Kickstarter on there linked together. So let me put that link out there. Let me put that link in there without the back end of stuff. As I try to copy and paste it.
I think they could have made. I think they could have made the. I think they could have made the squawks look a little bit more squirrel foxy and not just so foxy. Because it looks more just like a fox with a very bushy tail. Sorry, they have pins as well. I should clarify that I was looking at. If you follow on the page, they have the Kickstarter. Yeah.
I do like how, like, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure, like, if I'd seen more stuff on Starfinder, I would know more about Captain Concierge, which apparently, I guess, is the helpful AI that you bothered with in Starfinder, I'm assuming.
Well, okay. Captain Concierge is basically kind of the Skidamander who gives helpful tips in the books.
Oh, it's supposed to be in, like, if you were using it in game, it would be like supposed to be like an AI in the Starfinder world, I guess. That's like you can like.
I think yeah. So that's the thing. It's just kind of like
it's just to manage to be like Clippy, like intelligent Clippy.
Yeah. So okay. I think it has an in-universe thing, but I also know that they like used it, especially in the first Starfinder stuff, that like as like a. I don't remember seeing it in 2e book, but I didn't look super closely at those. I'm gonna be honest. But in like the 1e books, Starfinder 1e, I do remember like seeing him like, oh yeah, it's a tip, you could do this, He's probably somewhere, I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. Again, this all looks fun, nice stuff. Like if you're interested in it, I have no major complaints about like stuff like this. It's just I am probably not the person that's going to be buying this, so that's the best I can say about it,
I'm gonna be honest, pins, I love pins. Not super interested in these pins, but I do enjoy me a good pin.
No squirrel fox for you? It's just not good enough?
No, it doesn't look enough squirrely, it just kind of looks like a fox.
You need a little bit more of the squirrel and the fox.
Mm-hmm.
So. Anyway, yeah. I got all the information about between the article and the thing about it, learning about it. I think, again, we have talked about the previous collection they did. I recall. I think we did the goblin-y stuff or something like that. And apparently they did Leshy pens before. I think they didn't have the goblin stuff on Kickstarter. They just supported it.
Live Laugh Leshy? Pathfinder pin collection?
That was the pin collection.
Not in Live Laugh Leshy, yeah. Let's see. I'm just looking at their old stuff. Hold on. I think this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kitten Kabloomy, Pathfinder apparel collection, and they had like a goblin dress.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
I think we might have talked about that at some point in time. I don't remember what we all talked about sometimes.
I don't honestly remember this at all, but it's a thing.
It is a thing. It's neat either way. So hey, there you go.
Same kind of deal as that. If you remember, if you know about that.
Yep. Cool. All right. Starfinder branded, I guess clothes. Right. Brand's probably not the right word. Adjacent, because it's
Themed?
themed. There we go. Thank you. So we can talk about Twilight Sword. So this is coming to us from.
You've been doing this lately, where you've been drawing out like one word, and I keep thinking that's all you're gonna say. So I thought I thought there might have been like a Twilight RPG or something.
Look, okay, yep. I think it's what I do is like I'm in the middle of like announcing it, and I'm like also trying to like copy and paste the thing, so my brain is like trying to do two things at once. So I'm drawing it out just a little bit, like, the thought pattern.
Well, you did this like twice yesterday on our stream, where you said something and I thought you were gonna say something else because you just like added a gap or drug a word out too long.
Look, I'm easily distracted, and shiny. Anyway. So yeah, this is Free League Press, Free League Publishing in this case, and then Two Little Mice, who had done Outgunned, which I'm pretty sure we talked about Outgunned before.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah. And this is basically adventure fantasy RPG. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. You're basically.
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
No, keep going. Sorry, I just had a thought, but I'll get back to that.
Yes, you're a champion in the realm of world of Radia. I guess that's the easiest way to say it, is in this case, you're a heroic character. That is a little different than I guess you would say for, on the surface, normally what you'd go for like a Pathfinder or D&D. Not that you can't be heroic characters, but normally when you talk about both of them, you're more adventurer, which is different than hero. And that should be said. An adventurer can be a hero, doesn't need to be. Hero is always a hero. It's adventure can be that, but isn't always.
Yeah, this is cool. I actually might back this because I like the idea of a Twilight Sword RPG. I think we briefly talked about this, like that it was announced a while back, but
we might talk about it when it was announced. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it did have a.
I remember this. I remember the front cover image. So.
Yeah. So I think when they first announced it, it looks as though we might have talked about it when Two Little Mice was working on it, but it looks like Free League's gotten behind it for the publishing side of things, and they're going to be putting it up on Backer Kick on the 20th, so you can then get in on it at that point in time. And it's not the first nor the last that probably has a very, as they say, Studio Ghibli inspired kind of art style, which is a kind of like it's anime, but it's a certain kind of anime. Because for Studio Ghibli, it's very, very fanciful, very, for a certain way of doing things, so.
Oh, never mind. I thought this was like, being called Twilight Sword made me think it was actually Zelda inspired. Like I know it's Zelda inspired, but that it was actually like Zelda, like actually officially backed by Nintendo potentially. But now I'm kind of like, okay, well, that just means it's going to get cease and desisted probably in like two days.
No, it's basically meant to be like if you want to do a Legend of Zelda type game, or as they
I
say,
know.
Dragon Quest or something like that. This is the
Yeah,
like
they, they say Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy, Ni no Kuni is on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Now the reason I was like, man, if this is an official Zelda thing, does that mean there might be at some point an official Pokemon RPG? But no, this is official. So
Like getting anything official out of Nintendo is like, that they're not going to sue into the ground is pulling teeth.
well, that's the thing. The like one Pokemon RPG they did, which is not they did that was done, got super popular on the Nintendo cease and desist of them.
Yeah. But also, then you can kind of point out, oh, hey, look at Power World. They're winning.
Kind of. I mean, they still have to make concessions like every other week.
They're making concessions right now because they're still in litigation. But when one of the major patents that was being used against them in Japan was canceled, and then the same one in the U.S. is being reconsidered, which is incredibly rare. It tells you you're kind of
Are you
losing.
talking about are you talking about the throwing a Pokeball thing?
Yeah. It got
Yep.
canceled in Japan, and they're reconsidering it in the U.S.
because it's really this was really stupid.
But the thing is,
Because like
if you I saw someone talk about this that has a little bit of legal knowledge, and they're like, yeah, the problem with that is that patent, at least in Japan, when they were where they're suing them, was a lot of the core of their argument and was deeply connected with a lot of their other kind of stuff. So with that one going, all their other stuff is put into question then, and that's a problem, for them. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean Paolo will win. It doesn't mean Nintendo will win. It means that basically Nintendo's on the back foot right now. Doesn't mean they couldn't turn things around, but they are in a worse spot for arguing their arguments against Power World.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, the fact that they were granted that patent anyway was so stupid.
I really believe because the way that Japanese patents are a lot easier to get in certain ways, that they were able to get a similar patent in Japan, it made it easier to get in the US then. I really think that's
yeah, no, the US actually does have a thing where it like preferentially considers patents from another place to, and that's just normal, I think, for everywhere. It's like if you have a patent in one place, oh, clearly this is a thing, so you have it.
Yeah. Which, it did take Japan a little bit to look at and be like, wait a second, maybe we shouldn't have said this. I'm glad they at least did at some point in time.
Yeah. So it's just like, I mean, again, like a large thing was all like, the whole idea was just that, oh yeah, no, like this is our thing that we created, which is the idea of a patent. But, like literally everyone on the internet was just like, oh yeah, no, these 10 games did it before you. Like, yeah, Pokemon may have been the one that made it popular, but you weren't the first.
Yeah. And none of them tried to patent it.
Yep.
I also think it'd be
that's
hard.
also because patenting things in video games is really stupid. Like, patenting technology as like a concept is stupid.
Yeah.
I can understand patenting a technology to a degree, but like patenting like throwing a ball in a video game is like that. It's literally like patenting driving a car. It's all like
yeah.
Because it's not the technology that matters, it's like how you use it. It's like,
you can patent my game console. I could probably even patent to a degree a specific program I made for my video game. But that program isn't the mechanics it's doing. It's maybe doing something like it's doing better shading in my game. I have the patent on this program for my better shading, or better animations. That's good patents for that kind of thing, because that's more of a technical side of things.
Yeah.
But anyway, Twilight Sword. If you're interested, it's going to be up on Docket in 5 days. Anyway, hey, the basic role-playing game has its creature manual out. I think we mentioned it was going to be coming out, but it's finally out now. So I wanted to kind of follow up on that one. Definitely that you can get a hold of it. Again, it's supposed to be the kind of genre-agnostic basic system that Chaosium does. This is I don't. For a second there, I thought to myself, and I know it doesn't. For a second, I'm second guessing myself. I don't think Call of Cthulhu uses the system. I think this is a different system they have next to Call of Cthulhu, but they're both Chaosium. Probably.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean they might not be similar, but I think they're technically different, and Basics they're more genre agnostic system that they have, that they've done a bunch of stuff
Yeah,
with.
BR, it has a lot of similar. So as someone who's actually read through the book, it has a lot of similarities with their other RPGs. It's just designed to be more malleable and piecemeal, and you can mix and match aspects of it to make the game or genre you want.
Yeah. It's kind of like every time we talk about Modifius doing another 2D20 system, I'm like, I generally know how that's going to work, but the devil will be in the details, so to say, for that one.
Yep.
In this case, yeah, the system is kind of different. But anyway, yeah, it's 200 different creatures that go from fantasy to sci-fi to all different things in between. Natural creatures, dinosaurs, some NPCs, aliens, robots. It's meant to be like a smattering of a little bit of everything. So, yeah, it's
Only
generic.
200.
I know.
I don't mean to like sound rude about that, but for covering every genre, only 200.
That is the thing that I'm like, they need more of these.
Yeah, the fact that it took them like how many years has it been since they released BRP?
I don't know. Yeah, basic role playing. When did that release? Basic role playing release date. 2020. Was
Ouch.
Okay, but the most recent edition of the system was in April of 2023, but the original was 2020. So it looks like, though, apparently there was a version of it back in 1980, so it is something that has had multiple editions.
I know they had like I'm talking about the more recent one, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the two most recent one are 2020 was when they put together a basic version of it, and 2023 has a kind of update. The 2023 is an update on their 2008/2011 version. Oh, because they had a 2008 edition that was redoing the older editions, and 2011 was kind of a second edition of that. And then we turned to a kind of codifying it in a system reference document in 2020, and then 2023 we have the most updated version of it today. Okay.
Yeah.
So it still is a system that theoretically dates back, even if you go by the second edition, 2011. So yeah, the creature book's a little. I think the thing is they've been doing a lot more of the specific worlds. I think they've been focusing on,
which would have things in them, which would have creatures in them, probably.
Yeah,
I think it's just like a dedicated creature book. Because I'm looking, it's like, okay, they actually do have a lot of creatures. They have rules for creating creatures in the actual basic role playing, but still, I just don't think there's ever anything easier than examples, and you just need a lot of examples.
Yeah, looking at like some of their major BRP settings, I feel like most likely they each had their own stuff built into them rather than like, the more agnostic. It's like they had BRP, but they were focused more on the individual like setting worlds for BRP, and they've taken a step back and are now focusing a little bit more on the overall thing to give like a better support for anything, and if people don't want to use a specific one of their things, and still use BRP, which I think that's a good direction to go in. I think it can be, to kind of take a step back there and kind of refocus there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this isn't too bad. I got it. So yeah, they do animals, and then they do dinosaurs, and they do like mega fantasy creatures, and there's a good number of classics and stuff in here. That makes sense. Ooh, wait, hold on. Now this is an interesting comparison. Centaur. I'm just trying to see like what kind of skills. Uh, interesting, because they actually have. Oh yeah. Okay. So this is
Interesting.
annoying. Because they actually have the centaur in the in the core book as well as like a creature, because they do have like creatures in that one as well. And it's the exact same. So they even have some repeats, which isn't necessarily great.
And supposedly somewhere in the book they do have rules for like if you want to use something from that book in Call of Cthulhu or RuneQuest or Rivers of Lunder or Pendragon, because those are similar systems, they might need a little adaptation. But they're like, yeah, we have some rules for if you want to take it from the generic and adapt it to these other systems. Yeah, our more specific systems, which are, I guess that would be like, again, a generic D20, 2D20 system, and then you can use it anywhere. You can use it in your Star Trek game or your Fallout game, some kind of like robot enemy or something like that, rules for that.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that having that, moving it from basic into something a little bit more and having those rules is good too. It looks like they have a lot of good stuff for using the book and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's just like, you guys need to play catch up. I mean, seriously.
Again, I think they've been a lot more focused on like Pendragon, Call of Cthulhu, and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, we do have this like basic system that kind of is universal between all of them. I guess we should focus on that. I guess we should. Here's a very interesting one.
I do want to say this is really cool because, like I said, I just caught the book. They have a whole 2.5 pages dedicated to 3.5 pages dedicated to having dragons as a heritage, which I'm very happy about.
Cool.
Sorry, I had to call it out.
No, it's all good. I respect the dragon. So Green Ronin is giving us something for their age system. So Green Ronin Press's age system would be comparable to the basic role-playing system. It's kind of like their more generic kind of thing. Explaining it for those of you that don't know, taking a step back.
Oh, no, sorry.
They made Dragon Age RPG. When they couldn't make that anymore, they basically made a more generic system form of it. That's the age system. So they've got like a modern and fantasy version of it.
It's just a template.
It's a template system that they've got. So apparently, they've got the second edition of Fantasy Age out. And back, they had a sample setting called High Fall Swale in first edition. So what they've done rather than use that sample setting as an alternate setting to the normal one that you can kind of use with Fantasy Age, they just made an actual book based on it. They're like, so hey, people kind of liked our sample setting, which was, again, different than our traditional setting we present with Fantasy Age. Here's that one too. That's cool. Again, it's a generic system having multiple example systems isn't bad. And a more generic system having an example system or setting isn't bad either. I think we've talked about that before. It's sometimes good for you to have at least like, here's a setting you could use. So yeah. The book is Return to High Fall Swale, and it's just basically an adventurer's toolkit for the second edition. So, yeah. So, yep. I don't think there's much else to say on that end other than like, if you want to get into Fantasy Age and try that out as a generic fantasy system, if you like the mechanics of it, it might be good to get one of these books at very least, because it gives you an idea of how to build in the worlds, and just starting out in a pre-made world sometimes can help too, before either making your own or adapting one.
Yeah.
The book's available now. It's just it is a PDF form though, so keep that in mind. So it's a $7 PDF for it. So it looks
actually really not that. That's not bad at all.
No, and it sounds like because this is like a extra thing they kind of did based on their like sample setting for first edition, they just adapted to second edition, put some more stuff together, and kind of made it a little bigger, and are like, I can see that being as a fine thing for just a simple PDF if you want to check it out.
Yeah, it's 27 pages. It's not that big of a book.
Again, it's not meant to be deep because I think it's a again expanded sample setting.
Yep.
There you go. All right. Speaking of some kind of more startery stuff, Pirate Borg is getting a starter set. This was an interesting one I kind of was thinking about because I would have not considered any of the like Mork Borg and Borg games needing a starter set necessarily. I mean, it could, but a lot of those are very like, they're meant to be very role play heavy. So it usually is a lot less that you need a starter for something like that, because starters are more mechanics, world, introducing you those things.
I mean, I feel like anything could benefit from one if done right.
True. I guess that's true. So it's got 60-page.
I mean, because it's like,
Good.
it's got, maps and character sheets and that kind of stuff, So it's like, and tokens for like, and obviously probably an adventure.
Yeah, 60-page player's guide and
adventure.
60-page adventure trapped in the tropics. And again, that's one of those things because, like, when I'm thinking about, like, when I saw a bunch of these, the Mork Borg adjacent products, they tend to be pretty, like, small little books here. So, again, that's the kind of impressive. We're like, this is a big old thing. And I guess Pirate Borg may have been a little different because it's kind of like a offshoot rather than a version of that. The entire, like, Mork Borg, Pirate Borg sphere is a weird one. Interesting, weird.
Yeah, I definitely want to look into the Borgs at some point.
I remember a friend of mine kind of dove into a whole bunch of them, but I didn't have a chance to look at any of them years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I don't really have any idea of, and I probably should because there are just a lot of them, and it might be good to look at one.
Yeah, there's like the original cores, and they've kind of like spread out because it was another one of those systems because it is a very more role play heavy system. It was very easy to adapt in a lot of different directions. I guess the better way to say it, it's a very mechanics light system. So when you move the mechanics or adapt them, it was easy. Yeah, starter that's coming out next year in March. If you want to check it out, entry level, I'll get into it. So this is a very, very interesting one. We'll see what it means. Fantasy Grounds is going free to play.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. The previous license was $50, and you had to buy the games and other modules you want to use with it. As of today, all users can host and join unlimited games with no purchase or subscription. Software itself is free, though the marketplace contains a massive quantity of official license contents, add-ons that you would probably purchase then. So if you want to do like,
it'd be nice if they made it easier. It'd be nice if they made it easier to buy them.
Yes, I think that's the idea. Is they're making the basic thing free, and a lot of like if you want to buy like the licensed packs of things, you have to kind of pay for your official D&D kind of content, your official Pathfinder content. But it looks like they've got that Pathfinder Level Up Advance, 5e Traveler, Call of Cthulhu. It says they have 50 game systems, 3,000 products. And they have a new online reader, which is web-based compendium, too, for the browser.
Mm-hmm.
Which I took that's the image I'm showing off here, the online reader for this.
Yep. This is cool. I actually think this is a good idea. Sucks that I bought it only a year ago, but,
Yeah.
Right?
It is definitely one of those things. I think it's fine.
I know. It's more of like a man. Hindsight is 2020, as they say. It's just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
you know. I mean, obviously, if they announced they were going to do this, no one would buy anything. So
Yeah, I think it was. I think for them and the model, it probably because they're already aiming more towards the official license stuff as the core of the marketplace. It was probably a lot easier just to switch over there, or something like that, and then um, reducing the cost which for the license then just was pretty easy because if attracting more people. There we go. I'm not saying this correct way. They wanted to attract more people. Yes, they're earning money on the licensed, but they don't need to be profitable. I think so. They said like more people getting more stuff officially. They're guessing that's going to be more profitable than the $50 licenses. There you go.
yeah, I actually, given the way markets tend to go, they're correct. Like as much as people hate that kind of microtransaction thing, for something like this, which one already has it, and two is very quality. I'm gonna be honest, like most of the stuff on Fantasy Ground made for Fantasy Grounds is quality because they make it way easier than Roll20 to like Roll20 like requires a dev team. Whereas like to make something you like look nice and be good, whereas like Fantasy Grounds could be done by like 2 people.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not wrong.
So it does make sense that, yeah. I mean, again, I don't envy Roll20, but man, this is gonna throw. Now, the only thing they need is free hosting, and if they do free hosting, they will become 10 times better than Roll20 instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, they say all users can host and join limited games with no purchase or subscription.
But I'm talking about them hosting rather than a person having to open their computer and do the whole peer-to-peer stuff.
Oh,
I'm saying if they have hosting, if they host the websites, they would be 1,000 times better than Roll20.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
They removed one of the barriers. I would consider it not actually the hardest barrier. Hardest barrier for Roll20 is like for Fantasy Grounds, the fact that you like have to ask your DM to turn on their computer for them to like to look at your sheet and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So free to play. Let's talk about drive-through RPG for just a little bit because now apparently you can sell dice, books, and cards directly through this. So just beyond just our like, I think you always kind of could sell PDFs and like books and stuff like that. But now it's a lot more like the storefront will be offering a lot more physical products, and you can actually sell more physical products on drive-through RPG. That's kind of interesting, though.
So you could sell cards already. I definitely know of a few.
But could you sell physically the cards, or would you be selling the PDFs of the cards?
Selling the cards physically, yes.
Okay.
With that said, because I have condition cards from Onyx Path from when I was had more money that I got, and yeah, I got them through Drive-Thru RPG. And the thing is, I think they're just going to make it more common. Like, I think it was a very hard bar to jump over to get, like, outside of, like, a book, to get things on Drive-Thru RPG.
Okay.
So if I had to guess, it's going to be, like, easier and... Yeah, okay, sorry. The partner shipping program is currently restricted to partner shipping from the United States to customers also within the United States. So, that's going to be the limitations at launch, but I wouldn't be surprised.
But it's this new partner shipping program that they're kind of doing.
Yeah.
So I'm
it's gonna
I'm
start out
guessing
restricted.
the way it was restricted before is it was reliant a lot more on the people selling it for a lot of these kind of things, and there being a lot more of a distributor go
Oh,
between. You know.
I think you're right. I think they're going to be a little bit more Amazon-y, where they're going to be the ones actually hosting and controlling it. Whereas I think it might have just been a medium for other people before.
Yeah.
Meaning you needed yeah, that makes sense.
And that would have mean individuals still could have perhaps done it, but it would still been like, a couple extra steps or something in there. And this will definitely improve it now too. And again, I guess the idea is if it fits the tabletop RPG thing, it does open up various other types of merchandising, as they're saying on the thing here. And we'll have to kind of see.
Yeah, because they're saying that like it'll pass it on to partners for shipping and stuff. And they said like before, unlike the site's automated POD service, the new and POD, by the way, is proof of delivery. So basically, I think all the site was doing before was basically being like, you buy it from us, we tell you when it's there. We're basically, it's not like they didn't actually control the shipping before.
But they're basically they're getting a little bit more control in the shipping, but then they're also opening up that more stuff can be shipped through them then too.
Yep.
Which again, it's a juxtaposition. It both helps. It makes things both. I guess maybe a little bit more costly for you shipping out for shipping costs, but it might be a little easier for dealing with a lot of this stuff relating to shipping for me as a producer.
I doubt it's going to be that much more expensive. What I think is probably happening, I'm going to be honest, is it's going to be more expensive at first for drive-through RPG. But they're basically probably going to start at a slight loss, but then it's going to go into profit eventually. They probably have a plan for that.
Okay.
Because I bet it's going to take it's probably going to take a lot of initial effort to get the system in place. And they're not going to be able to ship a lot of products through it. So it's going to basically be at a loss at first. But again, maybe it'll be more expensive at first. They might start off with higher pricing, but I still think that they're probably more likely to take a loss for future than they are to pass it on to customers.
And it also might be if it does end up being for a creator who's selling something, it might be that entire thing of it might be a little bit more expensive, but then it's a lot less work for you figuring out all the shipping stuff. It's basically the cost you're paying more is probably more in labor. You can almost see it as of something that you don't have to do that.
Well, no, that's the thing. You're going to be paying into this as a company to basically pay for the service, guaranteed. So
I guess it's if you join their partnership program then, which
so I know that's going to have a cost to the people, but it's also going to save a lot of effort, which is honestly arguably going to save a lot of money. Time and effort.
Time is money.
A little bit of money. Yeah, in companies, that's half true. It's not as true as people say. As someone who works in a company, I can tell you right now, there's a lot of time where you can do where there's absolutely nothing to do.
You'd hope there would be, but no, sometimes there's not.
I mean, people act like if you put a bunch of work. Okay, people act like if you just keep working, suddenly things are going to get better. That is not true. That is not how the world works. Work smarter, not harder.
Yep. Agree. All right. Well then, we did get some interesting and good news, and then we got some bad news to finish up our news for the week. So we got two little stories here. First off, the Kickstarter strike is done. Oh. I gotta be honest. I forgot it was ongoing. After we talked about it.
They did say it wasn't going to interrupt stuff, so.
Yes. Apparently it took them 42 days. And they did come up with some agreements here. It looks as though because they had been on a 4-day work week, they stuck to that. They weren't being switched to a 5th one. But it does seem as though they can go to 5-day work weeks when needed. So for with notice and time limits, basically, for there's something going on that we need to have everybody on deck for 5 days. They did some stuff with the cost of living things, and they did get commitments from the management not to replace workers with AI or contractors. So
That's, I mean, fair. Like
that last
I mean,
one's there. It's like, yeah, fair.
let me put it this way, like, just when like, I'm just like, yeah, it's probably saving you Kickstarter, because I guarantee you, if you started doing AI stuff, and like your company would literally tank because nobody wants to support AI junk.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, you can't say we're going to use AI and sell things that aren't AI. That doesn't happen. Because right now, I think they did do a thing where it's all like you have to like explicitly state if something's AI or something, and or even disallow it. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
So, 42 days. It looks like they've come to an agreement. I can't necessarily say Kickstarter United won. It seems they got some of the stuff they wanted, but it's at very least they've reached a reasonable compromise for both sides. I'm probably sure there's a lot more details that were ironed out. Good for them,
Yeah, this is obviously this is obviously the short version.
Yeah. So, collective bargaining. It is a thing that should be used correctly. There is problems sometimes with it that can occur, but it's better to have than not to have.
I'm someone who really does think that a fluid work week would be so much of a better idea than like 5 days a week every week.
Yeah.
Because like 9 times out of 10, probably even less than that, do I think that I need to be there 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that right now. And from what I understand, pretty much everyone feels the same. It's like, the idea of like 4 weeks with 5 weeks during crunch periods, that sounds fairly understandable to me.
And I also think that majority of jobs for probably some kind of at least living salary for that job, some kind of basic salary.
Yeah.
With either like, with ways to earn more in it depending on the job. Now, granted, there are some jobs that I think would retail more to hourly too. It depends on the job. Honestly, there's a lot of ones that should probably just be salary.
But as far as the whole money thing goes, it is hard. I do get it for a company like Kickstarter, which kind of their money kind of ebbs and flows a lot more because they're based off getting kickbacks from other people's products, meaning these other people who are trying to sell things for as low of a price as possible, they're only getting money from that. Mm-hmm. Whereas right now, our world is currently being driven to like a company-driven hyperinflation. That some companies just have no control over, but then have to now start paying people more to cover that, even though that kind of thing is just kind of dumb, all things considered.
Late stage capitalism. We could do stuff about it to control it.
It's just a. I don't like the term late stage capitalism. That's because true. if you look at it, this is actually how kind of capitalism kind of started, and then it got better, and now it's just getting worse again.
I guess
that's the thing. It's not late stage. It's just a cycle, true. If anything.
It's the cycle of capitalism works best when it has basically caps and regulations on it. Not enough to stifle it, but enough to keep it in check. There is a balance there, and we've reached the kind of point in time where we're removing too many of those things, so it's getting out of control. Like we need I'm not saying completely cut off capitalism. It really should have it still doing its thing. But there are definitely a lot of things where we kind of scratch our heads and saying like, that feels like a little too much, where,
I mean, we started off with child labor, and
we're trying to come back to it.
Trump wanted to go back to child labor.
the children yearn for the mines. They say that all the time, Hey.
Anyway.
Yeah. But, strike's done for Kickstarter. And then the last thing here to finish up our news is a little bit of sadder news, is Wise Wizard Games is downsizing a little bit. Turns out, the year has been hard on them. Tariffs, inflation, all these problems, they basically have been trying their best throughout the year, and they've reached this point in time where like, hey, we got to downsize. Yeah. They're gonna like kind of I guess it's the way of saying it of a difficult internal reorganization, aka they got to get rid of some people, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they'll still be doing all their Kickstarter fulfillment. They'll be still going on with all the products they have, so it's like if you ever pack something there, it's still there. But yeah, it's that kind of thing of like, they're doing it because they need to do it to keep the doors open. So it's like, I feel bad for the people losing their jobs, but it's sort of like, if the company requires to do this or go out of business and everybody loses their jobs, it's like, it sucks either way. It's a bad place to be in when a company is doing bad, because someone's going to suffer.
And I really do gotta say, it's like, the whole tariffs thing is so stupid.
Yes.
It's destroyed so many companies.
It has caused so much of a mess. Unfortunate.
Hopefully,
a very
that class action lawsuits that's being worked on can help them.
True. We'll see how things go.
Right.
I know apparently the Supreme Court is basically getting some information now. It's, for once, they're taking their time with it. I know, because they've apparently been basically putting out like little like one-turn documents, which a lot more often now.
Yeah, there is one. Okay.
I think the thing, as I said it best, is it's okay to make your quick decisions, but give information on it, which they haven't been doing. Because apparently a lot of like judges are like, we would like to follow your decisions. We don't know what those really are.
Well, okay. The issue was literally every week he was changing what the numbers were.
Well, I'm talking about like the Supreme Court. They've been doing a lot of what they call shadow dockets, which are basically like one-page decisions on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Which those one pages don't explain how a judge should react to this.
Mm-hmm.
So the federal judges and stuff and all these judges beneath are trying to interpret this, and then like the Supreme Court yells at them for like not following them, and are like, what do you want from us? You're not actually like sitting down and doing like big proper stuff where you have decisions. You're doing like a on the back rooms, like one-page decision, which they apparently have been doing a lot of, which is also like unheard of, but the Supreme Court's also been kind of anyway, let's talk about
our country is going to shit. Well, it'll hopefully get better in a couple more years.
Yeah, ebbs and flows. We've had bad times in our country. We've had good times in our country. This feels like one of those times a lot of shit's going on. I feel like
the last three presidents have been terrible, and two of them were the same.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I liked Biden better, but Biden just was there.
I actually felt Biden was slightly worse than Trump's first term, but Trump's second term is worse than Biden.
Yeah. Shall we discuss our deeper discussion topic, which I thought was going to be an interesting one because I had on my list Dark Vision, but I decided Dark Vision because I wanted to kind of discuss that as a concept. I thought a much better for deeper discussion topic was alternate senses for your characters, because this is something that I think happens, but we don't use it very well as people running a game.
I actually love how Paizo approached it. And it's kind of something that I would totally work into probably most games, because they actually put more thought into it than like anything I've ever seen as far as like categorizing it. Most things are like, you see this distance in dark, you see this distance on ground, you see this distance, but that's a very sight approach to it, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like it's not really used correctly as a thing. It's like, sure, you do have to translate something that's very hard for me as a person, as a human, to understand if it's a sense that a human doesn't have. Even like better hearing, better smell, better, just better senses. we don't have that. So
So let's actually go over kind of the senses we use, like that you could use. I mean, so first, in like a game, because I actually think this is kind of important. So you got sight. That's the one humans have the most. Hearing, that's probably a human's second most attenuated sense. Smell, and finally touch. You can also add in odd things like magic sense or dimensional sense or other things like that, but or time sense, but that's when you get into concepts which it's really going to depend. But
I think also like certain senses that are a little bit more natural world senses might exist, like electromagnetism,
true.
Like a tremor sense, which is basically like a vibration sense, which animals do have.
That's why I said touch.
Oh, that's true. That would be more touch based.
Yeah, right. that is a touch based sense. So also I said smell. I should clarify. It's technically chemoreception, which actually includes taste. Taste and smell are both chemoreception. Basically sensing chemicals. Yeah. And like, some animals do, like snakes chemorecepт with their tongue, whereas, dogs chemorecepт with their smell or with their nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And then you also have things like, snakes have like the infrared, which is technically a version of sight because you're sensing light. It's basically what you're sensing light, sensing vibrations through the air, sensing vibrations through, well, actually, it's a good point. Technically, tremor sense is almost more of a sound, if you really think about it, because it's sensing vibrations, whereas like touch is sensing pressure. Although you tend to sense vibrations by intermittent pressure. But anyway, I'm getting too much into the science behind this.
It's fine. There is a science behind all this. So it's like, it's not bad to have it in part of the discussion, the science aspect of it.
Yep. But effectively, dark vision is interesting because I actually think that far too many systems make dark vision just work. In reality, dark vision should not work if there is any other light present. If you're going with the way actual eyes work. Because the thing is the things that are super sensitive to dark light and basically shut off when there's bright light. Meaning, if one of your party members has a torch, no one should get dark vision. With that said, animals would lose it too after a period, but they'd probably be able to see the torch coming from a ways away. But in the actual fight, they wouldn't get dark vision outside the radius of the light.
This is why I like Shadowrun a little better when it comes to like their version of like a dark vision, because instead they have like a thermal vision. Like dwarves and trolls have like, they can sense some heat.
Yes, that is technically dark vision in AD&D as well, infravision. You can see heat. So you're basically, your vision goes into the infrared and you can see heat. Which is a thing, obviously snakes have that.
And the thing is, snakes have that and normal sight, so it's understandable to have both of those, So I think,
which that makes me want to put like in art of like, especially for like AD&D, like if you have like my dwarf or my gnome in AD&D which has inversion, I almost want to put like nares like on like next to his nose or something, which are the name of the organ that snakes have to sense heat.
Yeah.
But anyway, with that said though, like obviously if you get really into the physics and chemistry of like how or just the mechanics of how senses work, you would need rules for everything, which is not what you want. So that's kind of the other thing too. You have to balance this. Knowing how things actually work can help you judge things as a GM. So I think it's important to know some of it. I wouldn't even say important. I think it's helpful. I think you can do just fine without it. But I also think that, again, this is where I get into Pathfinder, and I really like Pathfinder because they basically just narrowed all the senses into 3. Precise sense, imprecise sense, and vague sense, if I recall correctly. And so like a precise sense means you can pinpoint something directly. A vague sense means you can know its area, but you can't use it in something like combat. That's why if you're using an imprecise sense like smell, or sorry, like hearing in Pathfinder, hearing is considered an imprecise sense. You can still attack. Like that's the thing. If you are blinded in Pathfinder, everything is concealed from you. You are not or sorry, hidden. Right? Wait, hidden, yeah.
Yes.
Where basically you know where it is, but you can't like target it directly. Which is honestly kind of how it goes. And then there's imprecise sense, which means you know something's there, but you can't pinpoint it. So this would be something is noticed. There's unnoticed, noticed. Oh no, there's unnoticed. Oh yeah, unnoticed. Oh gosh, now I need to look up Pathfinder. Hold on.
It's been a while since I checked it too, so I can't help you in remembering the full chunk here. And I think it's a little different in the remaster than it was in the original. But again, also like I can't say it is or not because I haven't read through the original in like that section
almost
of it
like
for years.
Yeah. Okay. Observed, hidden, undetected, and unnoticed. Okay, so yeah. Basically, you can go from unnoticed to undetected with a vague sense. You can go from undetected to hidden with an imprecise sense, and you can go to hidden to observed with a precise sense. The idea being that, like, again, there's just tiers of like how well you can, and I think this is a great concept for like building other senses, because basically you don't have to, instead of determining how senses work and like having to make rules around how everything works, categorizing them and then putting the different senses in the different categories is more interesting. Like for example, a bat would have a hearing as a precise sense because they can use it to pinpoint something.
Like an echolocate, yeah.
Yeah.
It's I think it's that thing of like when it comes to senses in general, you have a challenge translating it anyway. Like,
yeah.
Like look at 5e. A lot of times it's just I roll a perception check, which doesn't. Yeah, it's a lot easier than like in 3rd edition where it's like spot and listen were different. I'm like, yeah, they kind of. It's sometimes you don't want it to be different, but you also kind of do. And I do like how you're talking about in Pathfinder 2nd edition, where it does break it down that like, yeah, it's one check, but your different senses react to that one check differently.
Yeah, like they're all one sense, but your different senses determine how precisely you can pinpoint what you're perceiving.
Yeah.
And that's a kind of a neat way to do it.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's a good kind of basics. There's probably a good like discussion on its own about like, you know, better adapting senses in general. Maybe that's for another week. Yep. We can put that.
I mean, we'll see where this discussion goes. Yes. We're still at the beginning of it, but
the idea is there are senses that exist that your characters might have access to through a variety of means. Maybe I wild shape into an animal. Maybe I use some magic to grant me something. Grant me something. Maybe I'm some kind of supernatural being that has some kind of extra sense. And these extra senses are going to be on your character, but also it's sort of like, traditionally, we just use them as it's another hearing, or it's another sight, or it's another touch. Yeah. We don't really do anything with a lot of these senses. And I think that's the kind of thing of like, that's kind of a waste when...
So it's kind of hard because like, I think there is a limit though to how weird they can be, because like in the end, they're all about understanding the world around you. And yeah, creatures who have different primary senses understand the world around them very differently.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I still think in the end, the goal is to understand the world around you. So if like, I think, so if you have like, let's say, gravitational wave sense, and you sense the world through gravitational waves, in the end, all you're able to sense is like the position and shapes of objects.
Yeah.
You now can no longer sense color. So in a way, thinking about it like sight, but a sight that goes through walls is probably what you want, you know? Um,
It's this thing that like the idea of a lot of senses, especially those that are outside a normal human standard, are both interesting but also hard to do something with. I guess that's the idea too. It's just hard to do something with it, to make it
Yeah.
something more than just I have that sense. Great, you know, or like, oh well, you sensed the thing was there, like you know, um,
yeah.
providing that extra information is hard because like me
It,
DM,
it
I don't have that sense. I can't describe what that is really.
Yeah, you have to kind of almost conceptualize it. Like that's the thing. Like, I like gravitational wave sense. What the hell would that look like? What the hell would that feel like?
Yeah.
Would it be more like a bat echolocation where it's more of a timing thing? Or would it be like, or are you just sensing like the gravitational feel? Like I picked a really random one. I don't know. Where that popped into my head.
Let's go back to like let's go back to thermographic sense because that's something that has
Okay.
been in D&D before. The thing about thermographic senses is yes, I'm layering it on top of my normal vision, but it does mean I'm occasionally going to sense things that you as the DM almost have to keep in mind when your players make a perception about that one, because that's one. This is one where even if you can't conceptualize it, it's probably going to come up. Oh, over there is a little warmer. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
That's
more than
an interesting.
it is. Thermographic sense is more
Yeah.
than just the direct thing. You leave heat in an area. Or leave behind heat.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it does depend a little bit on how precise it is, because in theory there is the idea that like you can only sense large differences or small differences. Precise, and again, we kind of come back to the idea of precise or imprecise. So like if it's an imprecise sense, then yeah, you can be like, hey, you notice that there's an odd spot of warmth on the ceiling, and then you made or an odd spot of cold on the ceiling, and you might be like, oh, what is that? And then your group just tears it away and finds out that it's just a pocket of mold or something that was growing there that was absorbing the heat. You know? But it's like you have to like, if you have extra senses. Actually, you want to know what this reminds me of, talking about this?
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of, do you remember you complaining about running Shadowrun and talking about how you have to know what's going on in the data realm, the astral realm, and the physical realm all at once? That's kind of the problem with multiple senses. It's almost like
you have to worry about all those different layers in a way sometimes, and it's an extra complexity that like it's one of those things. Is like the complexity is both good and bad. The complexity could be good because it could add to like a lot of interesting aspects and create a lot of things that are very interesting your characters could do. It's bad because it's complex.
Yeah,
it's just an extra layer you're dealing with on top of just I roll a die and maybe see something.
Yeah. So I, as a GM, already do try and consider other senses. Like that's the thing. I feel like a trap that a lot of human GMs fall into. I don't know why I specified human, but a lot of GMs fall into is sight only descriptions. It's important to remember sound and smell. Touch you rarely need, but you can do things like, because thermosense is for humans is more of a touch side of things. So like you can still remember things like touch and like the temperature, and like you can still feel a wind, you can still feel a draft, you can still feel a draft, you can feel moist, you can feel that kind of stuff. So like there's still things you can do with touch, but for humans the main ones you're going to do are sight, sound, and smell.
You mentioning that makes me think that like I think I've fallen into part of that trap. I do a lot of sight and sound, and occasionally touch, but I don't do a lot of smell. I think that's the one I'm not as good with.
Hard. Smell can be hard. Especially if like you don't want your players to know exactly what it is. Like you smell an acrid tang, and you're like, what does that mean? But then you find out, there's like a acid pit nearby. It's like, and it could be an interesting way to be like, because again, as humans, we don't like, you know, if you say acro, like people say like humans have like this, like the sense of smell can bring back memories and stuff, but it's like in a weird way, like I don't get that at all. I just am like, I smell a smell, I'm like, what the hell is that? I do not know what that is.
Yeah.
But some smells you were like, oh, I know exactly what that is, and that's the thing. You could be like, and actually imagine this, okay? Like you can do a lot of cool stuff with smell. Like imagine this: you're walking through a cave, you've been killing goblins, and like suddenly one of your characters smells freshly baked bread. What's going on there? Where is this coming from? Why? You know,
and
so
then
you
the other
can't
character's
control-
like, so you're having a stroke.
Sure.
I mean, it could
But-
actually be something, but I guess it'd be funny if the characters were like, "Oh, so you're having a
Yeah.
stroke? That's the first thing we should check you
yeah.
out."
I mean, that's how you as another player have fun. So, but it's like, and then you find out that the goblins have like captured one of the town bakers because they loved stealing the fresh bread and wanted more of it. You know.
You want to make us
You know,
bread,
and it's like,
or die?
yeah. So it's like kind of this thing where it's like you can do weird things with smell. Like, I think vision is always going to be the number one as visual creatures, but using other senses can really kind of set a very interesting tone. Especially if it's like imagine like you're you know, or like a who, you know. Let's go to the goblin thing again. And then you hear like a lovely maiden singing, and then you like walk into the room and find a goblin just singing, and you're like, how is this goblin so like precious at their sound?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know, like, so you can do cool stuff with you know,
There are
and that might
directions you can go.
yeah. So it's just important to remember. That's why I usually try and say sight +2. When I think of senses, I usually try and do sight plus 2 other senses.
I think the thing is, if you want to include it, have an idea of those extra senses your players either can have or do have. And then, you know, make the assumption kind of like with a normal person. 95% of the time, if the smell doesn't stand out, if what you're seeing doesn't stand out, if what you're hearing doesn't stand out, it's just there, something in the background. You know, I think that happens a lot in just people's life. You know, it's what you notice, and so then like, you know, oh, there's an unusual heat spot for my thermographic vision there, you know, or something like that. Then you could mention that it's something out of the ordinary.
And honestly, I actually feel like there could be a lot of cool uses for this. Like, I mean, imagine if you have like thermal sense, and like you're like, okay, you come across the kitchen, but you notice that there's like a box on the wall that's oddly hot, and you probably see it as and it might you think it's the breaker, and then you basically just given this character like a secret to like finding a thing, you know, like maybe we could do something with this. And it's like it's in my, actually, that's a very good way to think about it. Make the character with the sense feel special by giving them extra little tidbits here and there. I don't think it needs to be consistent. I think for the most part, as people playing creatures like this, we still want to hear the visual sense anyway, because that's what we use to imagine it. But these other senses are still good to make the player feel like their character is special.
Yeah.
Which I think is the main point of it. The more you dig into this, if you're a GM who just loves to describe 50 million things and think of every little detail for a room description, then go ahead and think of these other senses as well. But, you know, like, whereas another person may have had to get close to the box, the person with the thermal vision can see it from across the room, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's also going to be a lot of if we talk about the, like, using magic or transformation to gain a sense, think of it this way. You will want to use it for your players, but also keep in mind, they're probably new to that sense, and they're not going to be like giving the perfect picture. So it's sort of like those things that stand out, they might notice with their sense, and you can kind of describe, oh, hey, like, you know, oh, I'm in the water and I'm a shark now. There's a lot of weird things going on because I'm a shark now. Oh, hey, my electro sensors like detect, like there's struggling over there, that stands out rather than just the average fish, because that's pinging my new senses, heavily. And I think that's also a thing to keep in mind is, yeah, when you're just granting yourself through magic or something a new sense, you're probably not going to be great at it just on the drop too. So I think it's another way that you can kind of like use new senses or deeper senses too. As we said, like, getting infravision. It's a new type of vision. Getting like scent like a hunting animal would be, like a canine or something like that. You have a really great sense of smell. Or like hearing that goes into like spectrums a normal person couldn't do. Like, there's like abilities, magic, and like beings that can have that. And I guess it's sort of like, if it feels important to come up with it, you should. But again, it's like, you should still keep it in mind. Because again, a lot of times, most games just express this as, I have a slight bonus when doing that. I feel like it being something different, you want to treat it a little special, but don't push yourself too much.
Yeah, and that's something that's very hard because like I've played in games where it's like, oh, you have a +2 when using the sense of smell, and I'm just like, cool. But that ability relies entirely on the GM deciding that a smell is important.
Yeah.
And that can be very annoying as a player. Like, I think you need to keep a track of your player senses.
Yes.
Well,
I think that's the thing is, you as the GM should know that, that player has good sense of smell, and try to keep that in your mind, and then mention a couple of times, like, oh, you happen to pick up this extra smell, or something like that. It's the same thing of normally keeping track of your players, but this is like one on top of like, you want your players to either feel like abilities or magic they're using, or their natural abilities if they're non-human, mean something. It's there, it's on their sheet. Yeah, numerically, I guess it means something, but it's the same kind of thing of like, I guess some of these things come up a lot more naturally, like, for a character, like their orc's ferocity and, like staying up, when it gets dropped down a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, that
comes up when you're in the middle of a fight and stuff like that. That's something that you can easily feel while like, or like, oh, I've got fangs or tail that I can hit people with. Cool, great. That comes up. But like, this thing, which is a part of your character,
Expinor's bite attack will never come up, but that's fine.
It's a thing you have as an option to have, about. It's just you choose not to use that option. That's one of those things is when it's not a passive option or subtle option, you have to kind of keep it in mind.
There is if anyone grabs Ixpinor and tries to hold him, there is the option of him biting their hand, but that's probably the only time it'll come up.
Ixpinor just doesn't like being handheld. Nope, we've learned this.
But yeah, it's like, and honestly, that you bringing up electroception does make me want to like look into it a bit more and like how that actually works. But yeah, I mean, beyond looking into the scientific stuff about it, I don't know. It's hard.
It's interesting but hard. It's kind of one of those things of like, you don't want to ignore it, but you don't want to be consumed by it, and it's because it's something that's with your players or something your players are doing, but finding that good balance is what really like the hardness is. It's just finding balance sometimes with stuff like this. So yeah. No, I like a lot of ideas. It's like it's another one of those things. It's like, I think a good system to kind of talk about it is really Shadowrun, because there's so many like crazy like cybernetic eye implants or ear implants you can get that give you all this stuff, and I'm like, I remember looking into it and I'm like, I have no idea what to do with all this crap. I have like, like my ears are now also radio receptors or something like that, or like, I have like, both UV and infrared eyes. Am I using them all at the same time? They don't really talk too much about that.
I mean, the radio receptors just are like, okay, I can tune into radio frequency. I could see that one working. I think, yeah, but it's like, it really depends. Like, you as a GM kind of are the one responsible for this. And honestly, if you don't think you're going to use it with the players, bring that up to them, I feel like is important.
Yeah.
Make sure that that's not like, because sometimes it's all like, oh, I'm going to be a detective that tracks by smell. And it's all like, but we're not going to, we have we have cars, you get into a car, smell track ends. You're not going to,
yeah,
it's useful in some cases, but just know that, I don't see this coming into play,
It's one of those things is, characters that make decisions, you have to let them know certain decisions when either they will not come up or they have a low chance of getting up. I literally said to a bunch of characters for my game, these things are choosing. It's not that they can't come up, it's very unlikely. I went out of my way to say that about stuff because I'm like, hey, it's not impossible, but it's unlikely. So, if you want to change something, go ahead. I don't want you to commit to something that I can't say for 100% certainty will be there or not. It's like, or it has a very low chance of coming up with how things will go in the game, because, it's the same kind of thing with, certain choices for characters. Granted, if you're playing a certain ancestry or, maybe you're getting if you're talking about Shadow, you get a sweet package of stuff, or maybe you want to take a spell that gives you special type of vision. That's an option, and I'm like, hey, yeah, I don't know if that's going to help come up with it, for that spell, but I think that's the one thing about spells, too, a lot of times when you have a selection of them, and especially, I guess, more modern times where you can change out those spells a lot, it does make it easier to be like, hey, yeah, if you want to use this, we can figure out if it's going to do something here, but I don't know if it's going to. And if you don't need it, then exchange it. Having the option of changing stuff is good sometimes that way. But
so sharks seem to be able to. Sorry, I started to look into it. That's why I was quiet for the last few minutes.
It's okay. We got you to sharks.
So sharks kind of are able to sense kind of more the size and direction of prey through an electromagnetic field. So it's very much like because they're sensing the minor electric currents created by our nervous systems. And in a way, they can use it to determine if a prey is going to be too big and not worth going after and stuff, or small enough to bite.
I think it also can use that to sense when things are under duress too, because the way that your system acts.
Yeah, I don't.
Because I know a shark can
seem to it based on the little thing I'm reading right now, but maybe.
It could be a combination with other senses, because I know sharks can sense when something's under duress, but that could be a combination of their ability.
I think that's more. I think that's chemoreception. I think that's something they're smelling in the water, and not necessarily blood, but but other things they can.
It could be a combo of senses that are that tell them that information though too.
Yeah. I don't know if Yeah, because it's more just saying because the thing I'm reading is talking about how to repel or attract sharks, and rather than I don't know if they're not talking about
that could be more or less if something's under duress, your electrical signals are firing a lot more or something like that,
Yeah.
And maybe
so it's probably pulsing differently, and sharks can probably pick up on that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That entire thing of splashing a lot in the water, you're going to attract the attention of something, a lot more than not.
Yep. Yeah. So that's kind of, so I would put this kind of in the same vein as hearing. If we're gonna give it a similar sense. So it's it's almost but it can also,
it's between hearing and seeing. I think it's somewhere in
terms of in terms of its directional stability, it seems more like hearing. In terms of its ability to detect certain things like size, it seems more like sight. Again, yeah,
because it's a sense we don't have that's very different.
Yep.
It kind of is. We're kind of comparing it to the two, but it's that kind of thing is senses do stack in a little ways, so it might be understandable if it's kind of something that functions a little bit in between both of those, you know.
Then again, no, I think the intensity is basically size of a creature. That's the thing, but it's still kind of more like sound in that its intensity, like the volume basically would be basically the size of the creature. The frequency of pulses might be things like duress. So like there are ways to contribute. I still think hearing is a good comparison, but it's definitely different. You know, like it's still hard to fully compare because we don't know. We can't ask a shark what it feels like to sense this.
Yes. Or a platypus, because platypuses also have that.
Do they?
Yes, their bill has those electrosensors. That's what the bill is for.
Well, I know it's for other things, for snuffling in the ground, but...
Well, it uses the electrosensors to tell where the prey is under there. When it's going in through the dirt and stuff.
Yeah, they do use electroception. Interesting.
Yeah.
Do ducks have that?
I don't think so. It's just a goddamn platypus, because platypus is weird. I think someone said it's
like the platypus.
It's the spore
so
creature creator.
Electroreception. Gosh dang it. Yeah, they have electroreception to sense prey and stuff, even though ducks don't, and do the exact and feed the exact same. Love it.
Again, also males are venomous with their spurs, and of course, you know, they also apparently are biofluoresce under UV light, because who knows why the fuck. Platypus. And sweat milk.
I love that. I love that habitat. What is that called? What's that channel called? Unnatural Habitats or something like that? I don't remember.
Platypus. It's a thing that exists. You're like, you pick this up and you're like, what the hell are you? Nature. Granted, not the weirdest thing that's ever existed. Thanks, nature. I'm looking at you, shark with a buzzsaw for a mouth. Which shows up in Dave the Diver, for whatever reason. Dave the Diver does a lot of weird prehistoric creatures in some of the areas. Oh. Anyway, yeah. I guess this is a pretty good place to put this entire conversation about, like, it's something that, I think to summarize it all is, keep it in mind, kind of know what your character's special senses might be beyond normal senses, because, again, you know, and then it's however much is appropriate to your game, and you want to push yourself, let them know about it. And, you know, like, again, you should use it, just, you know, don't not use it and don't underuse it. You know, it's that entire thing. Is like, your characters have dark vision, as much as weird as it is. They got dark vision, you know, or thermal vision. They got thermal vision. You gotta kind of know about it to a degree. I think that's kind of where we went with the conversation. Unless there's something else you want to put in there.
I'd also say keep in mind the idea. I actually think, again, I think this is a genius thing that they did with the precise, imprecise, and vague sense.
Yeah.
Thing that Pathfinder does. I think I apply that to a lot of things, thinking about it in other areas where it's just like, okay, you know, like, yeah. So.
Yeah, that how accurate the sense is for telling stuff
and that's
in the
not
world.
to be. And that's the thing, it's not the same as how strong the sense is either, because, like, I would argue that, like, smell for, like, a dog, some dogs do have precise, they can laser right into you, it's weird, but others, like, you know, it's still vague, but still very good, you know, so it's like, you can have, or not vague, it's still, actually, that's a good point, humans are vague with smell, dogs become imprecise, so it's like, it's still a shift. But yeah,
and then certain dog breeds have very precise, you know, smell.
Precise. Yeah.
But
you probably blindfold them and they could bite a guy.
Yes, but again, it does come down to a lot of times that precision is very important to kind of note too, especially when it comes into these things. So it's sort of like it also helps you reflect on using those senses, how much the various characters would know, you know. It just comes down to that combo of, like, it's I think this all comes down to you as a person running the game have to know what your players' characters do. It boils down to that. It's one of those things you really should do anyway, is kind of know what the characters that you are playing in the characters in your game can do. You kind of have to know that. That's it. It's another version of that.
Yeah.
Even if you don't perfectly know their character sheets, you at least have to know what they can generally do.
Mm-hmm. That is something you can definitely be better
Look, I sometimes forget after you've leveled up to read over your character sheets for a while.
at. I mean, yeah, that's fair.
I do get to it eventually, but it does take sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it's more of a like, I'll get to that. I have been just trying to like know after a level up, try to ask you what you took nowadays, so it makes it easier for me.
That's actually a good way to do it. Yeah.
You know,
I think it's also just hard as a GM to remember everything. Like that's the thing. It's like you've got like 4 players all with like 10 different abilities. You know.
I try to remember the basics of what characters can do, and that's the important thing. And then it's like, I try to at least I do think I should sit down and look over the spell lists again just to make sure I remember all of them. But it's sort of like, you know,
Thankfully, I'm a sorcerer, so all you have to do is know what spells I have. Joe, on the other hand,
Joe is like, what's he pulling out of his ass this time? Granted, none of it feels crazy, at least. So I think that's
Joe doesn't break the game too much. He occasionally has weird ones, but he doesn't usually make game-breaking combos.
Yeah, Joe's pretty good there. I don't mind his little like weird animus things. I'm pretty sure you could very easily break Animist, and I'm just thankful he doesn't do anything to do that. And I was like, yep, you're fine. You're just not breaking the game. I'm happy about that. Good.
Yeah, the mixture of spontaneous and prepared casting is interesting.
All right. Shall we talk about our week in gaming then? I think that's a good segue for that. We kind of move into that. We had Joe's game this week, did we not? We did.
We did.
So, it was just dungeoning. It was battle. I think we finished the battle took up the entire time, didn't it?
Yep. Mm-hmm. That was a very close battle.
It was
I would not say it was Joe's fault. It was a tough encounter, but we rolled so bad.
Yes, we rolled very badly on top of a tough encounter, and that's not some. And it was like every important save we failed.
Yep. Until the very end when we finally started making saves.
Yes. I think like me getting the lucky nat 20 on my death save, recovering me back up was like really helped a lot.
Yeah. So just to go over, we ended the fight with 1 health, 6 health, and 9 health.
Yep. It's a tough thing because I'm like that.
Tons of spell slots gone.
Yeah. It's one of those things is part of me like enjoyed the fight for being in that, but I'm also like part of me on my DM brain is like I didn't like the fight because I don't like when a battle is that close sometimes because that was it felt too close to be an actual TPK. Granted, as you said, it was circumstances to a degree outside of there, but like I think the thing that I really disliked. No, I'll tell you what I disliked. Goddamn water elemental.
Yeah, I felt like that was a bit unnecessary.
It felt cheap because we couldn't do anything about it. The issue
just
fell on us from the sky.
Well, actually, that's a good point. We should have been able to react a little bit more to that initial.
Me dropping my thing, it was able to drop on us right away and hit all of us. And because the thing is, we all ended up in a wall of force. We all teleported inside it. We were recovering. The enemy had a chance to recover. But the thing is, we ended up on the back foot instantaneously afterwards. With that maneuver, we theoretically should have been on the upper hand because we were already doing badly, but not too badly beforehand.
Yeah.
Afterwards, we got
to clarify what happened.
Rude.
Clarify what happened. Tantus put all of us into a wall of force bubble, like you can do a sphere wall of force, and then like we teleported, like he put it around the 2 people who were about to die, and then we teleported in to all like recover.
Yeah.
But then, and this is what I didn't like. I actually don't like that Joe did the whole prepared thing. I think it should have just continued as normal from your turn when you dropped the spell. Because the whole thing about the surprise everything going off all at once was kind of bad.
It was worse for us too, because they were.
It was because
we were stuck in a position. They were all wherever they could be that we couldn't really do a lot about them, like the water elemental above us and them doing area attacks on us.
Well, it's more like them being prepared, and then Joe just being like, "Okay, everything goes off at the same time," meaning you all get hit by this, and then you guys also get to do your things. It's like, really?
I think I agree with you that I would have liked to just gone back into initiative or re-rolled initiative. Either way.
I think re-rolling initiative would have been a better play with whatever we ended up on, you being the start. You know, like your turn being dropping, or you being the last or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's like one of those two. Where it's like you drop it, and then things go back to normal. I do not like the whole... Because Joe was the one who was like... What was so weird is none of us were like, oh, we're going to prepare to do things. No, we're just like, okay, let's get back into the fight. And Joe's like, okay, but they're preparing things. I'm like, I guess we'll prepare things as well? You know?
I think that was the two things that kind of turned me off to the fight. A little bit, you know? I think the water elemental dropping on us in the first place from the ceiling where we couldn't react to it, and it was automatically, like, engulfing us. Like, we did not... It didn't, like, walk down the hall where we got attacks of opportunity. No, it just dropped and hit us, you know? That I was kind of like, I was like, that felt, like, cheap, you know?
Yeah. And we still got the deck save, but still, it just was like... Yeah, it's like we knew that was something it can do. We would have spread out as fast as possible. And that's why I didn't like it. And I agree with you here, where it's like, it really should have just been initiative in order, because when you have everyone prepared to do something, at that point, it becomes a turn order again.
You're right. I didn't even think about it at the time. I should have just been said, like that's the argument for it. And
I did say that. I said that to Joe twice, and he decided to do the whole thing because he wanted them to be prepared. That sometimes is Joe when he wants to, like, do his thing.
I think that's a stubbornness that kind of annoys me a little bit sometimes, and I think that, like, it's the thing that, like, him doing that basically was what made us almost TPK. Like, we were pretty close when I walled a force, but basically we were in a bad spot, and I basically used a strategy to save us, basically, and that felt reasonable. You know, I think that was the entire thing, and you know, that felt like, you know, an interesting use of it all.
Joe kind of wanted to deny it, but I think he let it because he knew we would die if we didn't. Because if you remember, he was all like, so they're touching the ground, so technically you couldn't put a wall of force underneath them. And I'm like, come on, dude.
I'm also not gonna lie, like, I did look into it more, and I didn't want to talk about it, but, like, it was... There's actually... They're
like separated out and stuff, I think.
Well, no. There is actually weird arguments about, because, like, the tentacles are connected to the ground if you're flying above it, if you trigger them or not. There was actually entire arguments online that went either way, but, you know, it's no one really could decide on that one, because it's like one of those things is, like, are the tentacles reacting to someone stepping in the area of them, or are they reacting to something passing through a square above them, even though they're technically ground-based and not in the air? It's just a weird thing, their entire thing. But also, I was thinking, like, the people were in the tentacles wouldn't drop into the ground. They were standing up. They would probably be unconscious in the tentacles' arms. That's what I tried to say, and I don't think he understood that, too.
Yeah. And I think, well, no, he did kind of get that. His thought was, like, would the wall of force push, like separate the tentacles or something? Whereas I'm like, it's a magical effect, so I think it should, was my thought.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that was my thought about it too. It was like, it's a magical effect, and, like, it's the idea of, like, shunting them apart.
Yeah. The whole thing about wall of force is magic can't pass through it, so I could see it totally severing the tentacle.
Yeah. 'Cause tentacle's magical. I don't think you can, like, kill them at all. Like, even if you probably attack them, they just, like, sever and come back.
Reform out of magic, you know? So it's like, it's not a problem. It's just, I think, Joe, basically, I felt like only let it happen because we would have all died if we didn't.
Yeah.
That's the feeling I got from it, which I'm like, okay, sure.
And I'm
It is
like,
true we would have, but I honestly think he was being way too nitpicky about it as well.
oh yeah, no, that's the entire thing I felt about that one there. I mean, like, we were able to get him, so I was okay with it, but it did feel nitpicky that I'm like, because I'm like, look, it's a goddamn 5th level spell, and I'm not trying to do anything aggressive with it. I'm trying to save my allies and put a bubble in a hallway. That doesn't really do a lot for us. You know, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That doesn't do a lot for us. It's a bubble in a hallway.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like the only reason Joe did the whole prepared thing where he had, and that's the thing, in the prepared thing, he actually made all of them go first. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're all prepared action, they go first. Although I think that was, I think it was because it was like the initiative order as we continued.
Oh, he did the entire
the
initiative order as it continued, and they went both after me. That's why they went both ways.
So, yeah, and that was kind of annoying. But I again, okay, cool. If we were just gonna go in initiative order, that's fine. But
here's the thing also. I didn't want to argue it too because it would have screwed us even more. When it comes to multiple things preparing actions, they go in initiative order. Which means
okay,
we would have been hit by that and lost our turns.
right. Because you lose your prepared actions if a prepared action interrupts you, right?
Yes. Meaning we wouldn't have been able to do anything. And we would be even more screwed.
Yeah, you're right.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, if it were my decision, I would have actually just re-rolled initiative to basically be like, okay, and now we're starting again, you know, basically. But
I probably would have gone in the drop back in initiative order, you know.
I mean, I think both are valid options. I think the way he did it was kind of the cheapest for against us.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, it was fine. I just think I don't know.
It was fine because we lived. But it was enough. It was like, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think is tiring me on a little bit more about Joe's game. We have too many close calls. Like when every battle is like an epic mini boss battle, it tires me out. And that's what they all feel like.
I personally enjoy it. I just think this one was a little bit. I generally don't. I actually like that. So that's the thing. I actually really like the whole every combat is a big battle thing. I think it's fun. I don't think it doesn't tire me out. So that's just an opinion thing. What tends to bother me is when Joe, I'd probably say 7 out of 10 times adjudicates in the favor of NPCs.
I think it's the thing, and this is the thing that unfortunately is very Joe coded and I know about, is that he is very much so. He very much has an idea of how he wants things to go in a little bit of ways, so he tends to, and when things, it's not necessarily that he wants us to fail, but it's kind of like he wants things to feel more, you know, a certain way. Like, it's not we cast one spell and defeat the guy, so we have this epic fight with him, and then we defeat the guy, kind of thing like that. So
yeah,
he tends to adjudicate in a way that keeps that going, but that's not always necessarily a great idea. But again, it's like, I think he doesn't always have that, like, big picture look on it. He has that kind of, like, this moment picture, too.
I mean, I 100% do understand. Like, as a GM, you really do have to understand that sometimes the giant fight is a cakewalk, and you just have to deal with it. Like,
not gonna lie, I lost that in my soul long ago. Pathfinder 1E, Witch, Slumber Hex, a large group of werewolves. They were all asleep. Werewolves don't have will saves.
Yeah.
The amount of coup de grace that were just going on in that part of the adventure. I'm like, well, you've won. It was at that point in time. It was just, you won.
Yeah. And, I was gonna say something. Top of that. What did I say before that? Like, sometimes you have to understand that it doesn't go your way.
Yeah.
And so, and yeah, that just happens. Like, oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Also, I do think Joe added the water elemental later. I think he added that for this fight because he thought the fight was going to be too easy and we were going to sweep it through under the rug in between sessions. That's my personal, like, based on how it just appeared right in the perfect spot. I feel like yeah, it could have, but I think that was something he did in between sessions. Like, I think it was just going to be the
And here's the thing: is I don't think it was enough of a cakewalk because it wasn't like necessarily very easy, but like I don't know. Yes, and Blaze is right because we were coup de grace and someone had a goddamn scythe, so it was ×4 damage in Pathfinder 1e. So auto crit ×4 goddamn damage to like sleeping werewolves. The amount of heads just chunk, chunk, chunk.
So, I think because he does that sometimes, I feel like he tries to add things if things are too easy, which is an important thing to do as a GM. But I think he overuses it.
I think that the thing too is like, again, I think because these large battles always feel like a knife's edge, and so I think that's what really works on me. You're right. I understand like the large battle. I think I would not worry them as more if not every large battle, because a mini boss should be difficult, but shouldn't always be like deadly final boss level. I feel like it's always deadly final boss battle rather than difficult mini boss with occasional deadly final boss battle. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think you need to, and that's the thing. I feel like Joe needs to understand the resource drain, where you basically throw smaller battles to drain resources from players to make the final boss battle a little bit tighter without making it overwhelming. Since he plans for us to go Nova every time, which means you have to make which make things very swingy. I'm gonna be honest, like it actually makes things really swingy by doing Nova all the time. Because like it requires you to use your best stuff and get good rolls on it. And if you fail, then the thing you're against, so it's fine. But it's like, again, I enjoy the fights. That's the other thing. Like, if you remember the fight, this is why I'm like thinking about it. Because if you remember when we cakewalked against the guys who were guarding because we got all like initiative on them and then destroyed them, and then suddenly there were like another one and a crab showed up.
Oh,
and it's just all like, I'm like, he does sometimes just add in creatures. He's done this a few other times as well, where I'm like, this is clear. This feels a lot more like something you added in, which is fine. I actually think it's a good thing. And I think in that fight, it was fine. It added a little bit more tension and it was a good thing. But in that fight, I think he did it with the water elemental. And I think that one was unnecessary because he was worried we were going to, there might've been something he could have added that wasn't so catastrophically overwhelming, especially since we were already on death's door.
We were already on the back foot after the first two, so I don't think the next two, like, I don't think because I think they were similar or easier difficulty, maybe he assumed that they would be easier, but like he didn't read into what they could do. Like, because like...
He also didn't read into the fact that because that's the thing. It wasn't that... Because the first half of the fight was literally us just down, up, down, up, down, up for players. Like, constantly going down, like... And that's the thing. We were on... Without time to heal, we were actually in not a great spot. Like, we weren't done, but we weren't in a great spot.
And I can understand this entire thing can be difficult. Like, it's
hard to adjudicate. I don't want to like rag on him too much. It's just a good example of like when a decision goes wrong.
Yeah, no, I think it's the thing is I think the combat was fine in the end because we managed, but I think
we tried to tighten it too much.
Yeah,
and
it felt a little too much on Razor's Edge. Even in some of the other battles we've had, which have gotten close to the Razor's Edge, this one felt the most on the Razor's Edge, I think, in quite a while. With the amount of down up we had for players. The amount of times...
And that was obviously going to happen. Like, literally, like honestly, if he had already planned the water elemental, I would have taken it out. You know, like
Yeah.
if I were a GM and I had the water elemental planned and the players were at that same point, I would have left it out.
Yeah.
You know, rather than adding it in.
We had the shit beat out of us already. I mean, like, we really did from those first two.
And if I wanted something else, I would have added the water elemental come in later. Like you could have had it come in a little bit later to see if how we were gonna do, not right at the beginning.
Yeah.
So there were things to do there, but
I
Joe, as we've talked about, is not the best GM. I do think he does very good fights, but that's because I like climactic fights every other session. I think that's fun.
I do think it works better on Joe's game because we are so spaced out on sessions. That I think too.
Sure.
If we were every week, I think I would like I've been very tolerant of it because like I do prefer like you know, maybe like a couple of small fights and then a big climatic fight if you can handle it. But again, like I know, like situationally wise, that doesn't always happen, you know. And we've done a lot of things in our choices that do drive us more towards big climatic fights, which I understand too. That's the other thing too, you know.
Well,
it's kind of like
he made the temple so small that like any fighting would call everyone else to the thing. So
yeah, but I also think I think that's also a combination of like, as much as he has enjoyed his game, he's like, we've kind of reached the end of it. We really should finish it, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, but I think overall it's fine. You know,
yep.
it's there are things to consider in the game, but they aren't like deal breakers, I think, on any stretch of the word. And I think definitely, as much as I can complain, this is night and day for how Joe used to be as a DM. So he's actually learned a lot and got a lot better.
No, I actually based on stories I've heard, yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. My next thing was, of course, Wednesday with Fall of Avonsfall. Did you have anything in before then? Or?
Same.
Okay, then we had my game. It was basically exploring an ancient city, which... okay, so this was my thought pattern. It would have been like... I can't remember the name of the city, but it's the city that the no longer existence, or maybe no longer called that, inevitables are in Pathfinder. Pathfinder version of it. There is a city that had inevitables and their creators, and their inevitables are kind of gone because they don't exist because they were a D&D thing, but their creators are now just Aeons. They just moved their creators and are like, hey, you were secretly Aeons, you didn't know about that. But all your mechanical creatures, in quotations, are now part of us, again, too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember the name of the city off the top of my head. But I just imagined that it was like that city in the plains, except like just the mechanical people maintaining it, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's definitely a thing. I was just kind of wondering, like, part of me was just like so confused on where we're supposed to go. Like, it's almost like like I have no idea. Like, let me put it this way: if this wasn't your game, I would immediately think, oh, this is kind of an open world segment where we get to explore and try and get stuff. But it's your game, and I know you kind of have a small agenda, so I'm just like, I feel like this is too big for what we're trying to do.
Here's the thing. Everything else is superfluous. It's supposed to be this grand place. Okay, cool. But
yep.
You have a specific mission. You have the staff, which tells you where to go on the specific mission. Yep. You know where to go now. that was the entire point of it, was like, oh, hey, like, you actually could have just ignored and not gotten directions and followed the staff.
Yeah. And then tried to fight our way up the tower. I get that. I just, like, part of me is just like, no, and that's the thing. I get that's what you wanted, or what your base thought was.
Yes.
But, like, I also know that I'm like, this place is too cool of an idea to not explore a little bit.
I was fine with that because I had some things in place for that. But again, like, it's that entire thing of, you know, your idea of like going to some place that's information, library, cool, great. That was kind of on my thought patterns too, you know.
Yep.
and I did move a few things around in that, you know, and so things have kind of shifted a little bit in response to how you've kind of been playing it there. But I think it's fine. I think it's kind of cool.
Oh no, I think it's fine. I'm just like, I know we could probably just fight the tower, but my thought is we should definitely prepare. But I'm also not sure preparing from a player perspective that preparing is going to get us much.
You've made good choices for information, and I'm just curious how you're going to use it. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
I was not going to punish you for going to the side direction. We'll put it that way, too.
Yep. That's good.
There were other things you could have done too. I kind of had some loose like ideas for a bunch of other places, but like, you know, I think the initial session of the library was like, yeah, they're an information place. You've talked about libraries and information places before, so I'm like, yep, that's one I was ready for you guys. I kind of knew what I was going to be there.
Yep.
But yeah,
I could totally imagine this place being literally a whole nother arc of the campaign, but I know that you don't want that.
There could be stories to tell there. But, like, I think at this point in time, I don't know if the stories are easy to tell here. Like, that's the kind of way I want to say it. Like,
I don't. Let me put it this way: I think you could if you wanted to, but it's obvious you don't. I'm not saying.
Yes,
you know,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I could have made this much more of a thing.
Yep. It's kind of like a video game where it's all like you can see how big the city is, but you really only have access to one area. That's kind of what it feels like.
You know, I think that's the best way to describe it. It's like this, like a really cool thing, and you have like the one road you can go on. You know?
Yep. So
yeah, no. I mean, like, you know, it's again, it's made to convey a certain thing, but tell a certain story.
I'm gonna be honest, like, I don't mind. I actually understand what you're doing right now is experimenting with the idea of like gauging time for like how a game, or for gauging like game length and flow. Which is, so like, I'm not saying you're doing a bad job, I'm just saying it's obvious that like this is what you're doing.
I'm basically what I've also been experimenting with is basically coming up with very loose ideas and basically very small amount of prep. Like I basically kind of spend that effectively between an hour and a half an hour prepping stuff, you know, a week, I'd say. Not a lot, but basically I come up with a core of concepts and ideas, and then when you guys encounter it, I play off of that. And like I also, like, you know, in my mind I'll kind of picture how things look and how things will work too. So it's sort of like I have very simple notes, but I've always thought about a lot of stuff with those simple notes, kind of thing like that too. So it has been a lot of playing off of you. Like, the dragon was there. I knew the dragon was there. I knew certain ways that the dragon could be encountered.
We knew the dragon was there.
Yes. You were told a couple of times the dragon was there, you know. But technically, I was actually going to plan to use the dragon later. But I felt like right at the end of the section, where it was very climactic, the dragon showing up was really good there too.
Yeah, it was just a climactic ending. Yeah. The session.
Look, you know, we're on stream. I decided to make things more climactic.
That is 100% fair.
Yep. So you were right. Yep. Originally, when you were if you were going to go getting up in the building, would be when you would have encountered it. That was my original thoughts too.
Yep.
Look, I can change my mind. Make things more story and more theatrical.
Yeah, no, I do that all the time as GM. Totally get it.
Sometimes you gotta be theatrical.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I had anything else tabletop related. How did you?
I had a Saturday.
Yeah,
today, this morning. So last time we ended on our train getting basically forcefully pulled, like basically an illusion being put over tracks and a wall, and the train being diverted into that. Again, this is like, turns out it's Darrow and Drow, or not Darrow and Drow, Darrow and Dwergar. I thought it was going to be Drow, mostly, based on all the stuff we heard. Because that's the thing, they kept saying like, oh yeah, Dwergar, I haven't been seeing her in this parts for a long time. They've been super far down. Drow are a little bit closer, but they're still far away. But I'm like, well, sounds like it's more likely Drow. And there's some other things like a dragon sighting and stuff. So I'm like, okay, it'll be Drow and like partnering with a dragon. But now it's Darrow and Dwergar. So anyway, but yeah, so they pulled us into an illusory wall, and then the train basically just hit a wall and derailed. And then we started a fight with, I want to say about 30 combatants.
All right.
Yep.
That is
Let's just say
a number of people.
Yep. Let's just say that we had maybe 20 on our side. Actually, it might have even been more like 40 combatants. I'd almost have to count. There was a lot, and then we have like 20. So it's like we are outnumbered by a lot. And they started in an advantageous position because obviously half of us were stunned, and then pretty much all of us were wounded from the train crash.
As soon as you're saying train crash and stuff, I can't help it. My brain goes to Resident Evil 0, the train crash. I'm sorry. Is it appropriate? I don't know, but that's all I can imagine with the train crash.
That's fair. To be fair, there were a lot of train suplex jokes going on in the chat.
Ooh. That's always good. That's a classic. Train suplex joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm honestly glad I'm in the back of the train. The front of the train has 3 spellcasters attacking it, whereas the back of the train has 1.
Ooh, advantageous position.
And then there's 1 in the middle, so it's like, yeah. Also, I feel really bad for Finn because he was the only person who took a position not in the front or the back. He decided to take one in the middle, so he's literally getting. Like, okay, I literally did the I literally sent a meme to like our group, and I'm just all like, I said this is Finn right now, and it was the Doom guy like shooting down, like having the the demon grabbing its arm while he's like shooting down, that iconic pose. I'm like, yeah, that's Finn right now. He's getting everyone from the middle on him. Thankfully, he's also the highest level party member, so.
He's the one most likely to survive all this.
Yep. Yeah, and the game ended. The turn ended with me getting hypnotized, which sucks.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I'm literally out of the combat until someone smacks the wizard who's hypnotizing me. Or hypnotic pattern.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Patterned.
Yeah. Hypnotic pattern. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Good luck on that one.
Hypnotize is different.
Yeah. I cannot remember. Can you smack a person directly out of hypnotize?
You can. In 2E, you can.
Okay. I was thinking that. So someone come over and smack you. Ow.
Yeah, I literally posted in the back group with people. I'm like, I posted the Joker saying, "Hit me, come on, hit me," a meme with that, and no one hit me. So,
how dare they not smack you?
Yeah.
Right. Well, that was a pretty good week in gaming. All right. Woo. Okay. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Worm. Why don't you throw your shout out there, and then we'll move on to my little ending here.
I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter and Blue Sky, or DiamondWyrm9234 on YouTube. You can also check out the post of my intro screen going viral on Reddit on r/dragons. Yeah.
Neat.
And Extreme should be tomorrow, where I'll be playing. I need to figure that out because the last 2 weeks I was super out of it mentally, so I didn't play Tactical Breach Wizards because that game requires brain power. But I need to decide if I want to jump right back into that and then do like a new rotation, or if I want to continue and just pick up at the next time it was supposed to be.
Good questions.
It won't be one of those 2 games.
But hi, yes. Your main host here, Dracovin. The show here will be up on my YouTube channel, so if you're not watching it there already, you're joining us live, which will be back next time at 6 p.m. next Saturday. Should be on schedule for that. I'll be able to report on what happened on PAX Unplugged on Friday. So yeah, I'll see what I can see and see what I can do. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'll be back on Tuesday for some more gaming, and I got a schedule full of some tabletop next week. So yeah. Anyway, check out all the links, all those kind of things, and yeah, join us. Anyway, everybody, have a great rest of your Saturday and a great rest of your weekend. And until the next time, farewell to you all. Goodbye.